Welcome back to the Cover Zero podcast. I'm your host tonight, Jordan, joined by my guy, Jay. How are you doing on the last podcast of the month of September?
I'm having fun, bro. Most importantly, with this football, with this podcast, man, I'm having fun. Outside of my squad, back here, that's losing. The game that I went to, enjoyed myself, by the way, listeners. Had a good
Mm-hmm.
time, you know what I'm saying? Linked up with some of the Raider fans up there. But the loss was just, that's devastating, bro. Like, they don't lose when I'm up there. That's the first Vegas first Vegas Raider loss that I've seen. And I've been up, this is
Oh,
my
okay.
fourth game being up there, so that shouldn't happen. But it did.
Nah, it sucks when that happens. The stadium and the city always delivers, just like we are going to tonight here for our Week 4 preview show. We have 3 games on the docket. We have the Cowboys and the Patriots. We got the Eagles and the Commanders, but we're going to kick things off tonight with the game of the week that everybody probably knows what it's going to be. It's the Bills, it's the Dolphins as they square off in Buffalo this weekend. Coming into this game, I mean, you have to start with the Miami offense, considering what they did last week to the Denver Broncos, just absolutely decimated that squad. I actually thought it was really savage how Mike McDaniel elected to not set the points record on them
That
after
was
he
cool,
already
though.
set the yardage record. I thought it was more savage, like in the sense of like, nah, I wouldn't do that to you guys. I was a ball boy for you. I was in your internship. I won't set the record against you because I have a respect for you in my heart. I'll be nice and just put up 70.
Right, right,
I'll be
right.
nice.
I'll put up 70. Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
just put up 70. That's all I need to do. I don't need to do any more than that.
Yeah,
So I thought that part was savage.
yeah.
But going into the matchup this weekend, that was last weekend, got to move ahead to this week because this is where this test starts. We were talking before the show started about where we are in the football season. This is a spot where we start to know some things and we start to think some things. And we're going
Mhm,
to start to see what parts of those are correct. And as we
mhm.
go into this game, Bills, Dolphins, apart from that weird debacle week 1, this Bills team has shown nothing but lights out play,
Yeah.
rounded more into the team that we expected them to be. What is the first thing, Jay? I'm going to start it off like this. What's the first thing that you're going to be paying attention to on Sunday when these two squads square off?
I want to see. Well, that's a great question actually, because I want to see two things. I want to see how this offense is being ran again, because I think they've really switched up the way they normally run their offense. They're
They
doing
did
it totally different now. A
this year,
lot of
yeah.
underneath. Yeah, they're not as aggressive ever since after week 1. And I think a lot of it played in question because a lot of us fans, a lot of just football fans and Bills fans and just the media wanted to see them run the ball more. And that was something that we never seen, kept asking for it. And that's what they're doing now. I mean, James Cook is somebody that last year, bro, in 2022, he had 507 yards in total.
Right,
2 touchdowns, and he didn't start no games. He was in
right.
16 of them though. This
Yeah.
year, bro, I mean, he already got half of it. He got 267 yards. He's averaging 6 yards per carry. He started 3 games. I mean, this is how you could tell that this offense is going in a totally different direction. Starting with the run game, and then Josh Allen, he was a little bit, there was a couple passes that was a little bit overly aggressive, but that's his game. We talked about this a little
Yeah.
earlier that we
Yeah.
don't want him to take that out. But seeing him really take what the defense is giving him, I think that's the unique part about his game so far, because that's something I've never seen. That's something that none
Right.
of us have seen. The underneath throws, take it, like I said, taking what the defense gives. Not always being aggressive when
He
you.
didn't even try to like hurdle somebody last week. He didn't
No,
try it
yeah, he
once.
didn't try not once, and normally every game he tries to
Yeah.
hurl or run somebody over, something
Right.
like
He
that,
didn't
bro.
try none of that. He slid and like I was
Yeah,
like shocked watching
yeah,
the tape.
bro.
Like, whoa, here goes. Oh no, okay.
Yeah, he doing
Almost got
something.
him.
Yeah, bro. And yeah, so that's what I'm gonna be looking forward to. And then this D line going after, putting pressure against that Miami offensive line to the quick passing game. Um, I I'm curious to see how they're gonna attack that offense,
Of
the
course,
D line,
bro.
and specifically because I like these dudes up here
For
that they
Buffalo.
have for Buffalo, bro. I mean, the Leonard Floyd, the Jordan Phillips, the Quan Jones, Ed Oliver, my boy, Leonard Floyd, like I brought up my boy. These guys here, AJ Espinosa, shout
Greg
out Henry,
Rousseau.
man, Greg Russo. these dudes is balling. And I mean balling right now, these last two games here. So I'm curious to see how they're going to attack it because, Miami, they can go either way. So the D line and just the defense as a whole really getting at how they're going to play that run attack because you know what Mike McDaniels want to do. And then if the offense can continue to, take it the way they're taking it right now, not
Mhm.
running, just basically taking what the defense gives and being aggressive when they feel like they have to, not all the time.
So something that I think was really dope that you brought up, you were talking about the effectiveness of James Cook and what we've seen from him this year.
Mhm.
He's much more of a focal point of the offense, like you were bringing up, and that was something, like you said, we wanted to see when we did the preseason preview.
Right.
The usage is also the thing too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Last year, and this isn't just even James Cook specific. This is just a philosophical shift
Hmm.
that we are seeing with Buffalo right now.
Right.
That's so dope, right? This team last year averaged 16 and a half running
Mhm.
back carries per game. That's
Yeah.
designed runs to the running backs between James Cook, as you said, who didn't start. He was behind Devin Singletary, and for about
Yeah.
5 games last year, Zach Moss, right? Between the
Yeah.
three of those guys, 16 and a half running back carries per game. This year, through three of them, 26 running back carries
Yeah.
per game.
Yeah.
We up by 10 now. Like
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
pushing it that way. And
Hmm.
when you combine that Josh Allen not necessarily, you know, needing to push all of his chips in and go all
Yeah.
in
Take
when
it
he's
right.
sitting with 10-7,
Right. Right.
playing poker
Right.
or whatever, you
Right.
have him like, no, I'll play the flop. I might fold on this hand or whatever. You
Right.
have him playing much smarter,
Right.
but still taking those shots like when he rolled out last week to Diggs
Hmm.
twice, connecting
Yeah.
deep after he
Yeah.
turned to vertical,
Right.
right?
Right.
Stuff like that, right? So this is when the Bills defense, or at least the Bills offense, can be at their best,
Right.
right? I'd sent a video clip through to the group chat
Hmm.
where
Yep.
they came out in 22 personnel, everybody
Hmm.
listening, two tight ends, two running backs, I formation, and ran under center counter, and there was just this giant gaping hole where like James Cook just went straight
Hmm.
untouched for 9 yards. And they
Hmm.
pulled the center Mitch Morse on that play. I
Yep.
didn't even know Mitch Morse had pulling capabilities
To do
because
right.
they
Right. Right.
had asked him to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
every center can pull. That's mostly designed on your guards because you have to snap the ball before you do that. But here we are witnessing
Hmm.
this. And so
Right.
that those wrinkles are really cool and things that I want to continue to see. Mostly for me, though, the biggest question, if we were to look to the other side of the ball with this Miami offense, I don't know how you stop this team right now. How, not even necessarily how you stop them. It doesn't start on how do we stop them. It starts on how do we want to attack them? How do we try to contain them? How do we try to limit them? Because that's the realistic question. This iteration of this Miami team with the motion from a condensed split to a out and
Hmm.
jetting up from it and then adding
Yeah.
different wrinkles to it and then
Yeah.
what they're showing in the run game. I don't on bro, I don't know how you even game plan for this offense right now
Hmm.
if you're the Bills.
Hmm.
I really don't.
Well, the only advantage I think the Bills would have over, well, outside New England, because they did play New England, is that this is a rival team, so they're kind of familiar with Mike McDaniels. They know what he wants to do. They've played him before, basically the same team. I know we're all hyped over the 70 points, 700 some yards, and all 726, I think to be exact.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
got to give the exact. It was on Denver, so I have to
Got
have
yeah,
to
let
give
them
the
know.
exact numbers. Let them know. But yeah, man, I think we're getting a little too caught up with that in a sense, just because it was a great showing, but that's not going to happen every week. And
No.
there's going to be times that offense is going to struggle. And I think if it struggles, it can be against an elite, because I think this defense is elite. I think there's times, I know, I get the Jets. They ran on them. I just think that was unexpected. They thought A-Rod was going to play. A-Rod didn't play. It just became a situation, for the Bills, and they just couldn't hang.
The Jets really, I mean, if you look at that Jets game, they had one, you take out that 80-yarder from
Yeah,
Brees Hall,
and
that
that
one
true.
play.
That's true. That's true.
That the rest of the game they did pretty well. They did
That's
pretty well.
true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So I mean, but outside of that, I think this defense is pretty much elite, bro.
Yeah.
And they know what Mike McDaniel wants to do. But you're right. I mean, they're adding more things to this. Mike McDaniel, he's so creative with his offense, man. It's just it's crazy, and they're fast. They're very fast. There's
So
nobody
fast.
that's slow on this team.
The whole offense looks like I don't know if you're I'm older than you. Do you remember VHS tapes where you had, like,
Yeah.
you
Come
didn't
on,
have a
man.
fast forward button, but you had
You
a
had
fast
you
forward
had it.
button, but
Yeah,
then you
but
had, like a
the
wind forward
wine on the
button,
back of the VHS. Yeah,
like
yeah,
fast motion. You had a
yeah.
fast motion button that would
Mhm.
make people talk like this, and then they would kinda move like this. So
Uh-huh.
just like this.
Yeah.
Still hear what they said in case you wanted to stop the video where they were at, like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
what that offense feels like.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Like, they are moving at just a different speed collectively with all the
Mhm.
motion, all the
Right.
different misdirections,
Yeah.
and I think this even extends down to the run game. That's the element of this offense that I think that gets missed by a lot of different things because there's so much stuff going on in the passing game. Tyreek Hill's lighting up scoreboards. Jalen Waddle, who didn't even play last week in the 70 burger game,
Yeah, that's a
is
crazy
back this
game.
week. Right. This week actually is going to be the first game this season where this Miami offense not only has Jalen Waddle, but they also get Teron Armstead back. He played
Yeah.
actually last week against Denver, but Waddle didn't. This will be the first time where both
They
of
get
those
every
guys are a
yeah,
part of the offense.
fully healthy
So
offense, yeah.
I think that's very dope to pay attention to. But to the run game, the one thing I wanted to really bring up with that is you shared a video in the group or on the SSAW Facebook page today. Shout out to the group. You shared a video on there about Mike McDaniel talking
Wide
about the
receivers.
importance of the run game and the importance of receivers and every other position blocking in the run game. And how if you may not necessarily think your guy can make the tackle, you will find plays on tape where your guy does make the tackle. And if you would
Mhm.
have committed just a little bit more effort, that would have been a touchdown.
That's touchdown.
Things like that.
Mhm.
There's plays where they run a lot of they ran a lot of crack toss against Denver, where
Mhm.
which is like a receiver or a tight end just blocks down and somebody pulls out, a
Yeah.
lineman pulls out and goes. They kept doing that a lot, and a lot of different people were doing that.
Mhm.
And on one of those plays where they ran, I think it was Devin A. Chain's first carry,
Mhm.
sweeping to the outside. They put Mostert out in a jet motion out like they've done
Right.
with Tyreek Hill,
Right,
but
right, right.
Mostert was the one who kicked out the corner when they also pulled Tyron Smith through the design running gap of it.
Mhm.
You have Mostert setting the edge, blocking, and he committed to that. This
Mhm.
is your tailback
Yeah.
taking on the role of what's generally a fullback.
Yeah.
Like this is what Mike McDaniel is getting, and I think that's just so dope to see.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's only his second year. Like
mhm.
that's what's really crazy. When you got an offense that looks this complicated, I don't know the verbiage. I'm not in the locker room, so I don't know how
Right.
hard it is to get.
Sure.
But I mean, this is only his second year, and these guys is playing. Even last year, I mean, they had injury, obviously issues with the quarterback, so they had times where they couldn't get going like that. But even last year, when Tua was on the field and this team was healthy, they looked like they understood it right away. Like it's almost like he's been coaching for the last like 5-6 years, bro. Like he
Yeah.
just knows what to do. And that video, yeah, that video that I shared was I just re-brought it up, but it was because I knew I put something in there about Mike McDaniels. I knew we were going to talk about it, and I knew it was about the creativeness on what he was doing with the San Francisco 49ers. That was in 2022 of January. And here we are now, head coach, and he's bringing that already to this Dolphins team this early.
Right.
It's just crazy, bro. And because we got to think too, when he was with San Francisco, he wasn't even calling the plays. That was my
Right.
only knock on him. It was like, well, can he come? Can he come into an organization, be a head coach, and run it? The way that everybody, obviously, you want a head coach to run a team without even really calling plays or doing anything. Not saying calling plays is the end all be all, but it's just a step. It's another
It's
step
a step. It's a
before,
whole nother like
yeah,
it's
because
not another
now
it's not another like feather in your cap, bro. You putting on a whole nother cap.
you're
Like
putting on a whole nother cap before the other cap.
mhm.
Normally, you start off at least calling some type of plays, and then boom, you're a head coach. He didn't even get that. He was labeled the I think it was a
Run game
run
coordinator.
game coordinator, and the OC. But we know Kyle Shanahan was one calling the plays. So for him to take over the Dolphins and do it all, just in this span of time, and got this team really balling out the way they are on what he does best, it's amazing to me. It's
It is.
amazing. It's crazy.
It's crazy also to like you were talking about. He's from that Shanahan tree. We also know the departures from that, the other people who come from that lineage, Sean McVay,
Yeah.
Matt LaFleur,
Yeah.
who we have seen. And you can see there's similarities in all of their offenses in the sense of like the use of motion, the use of maybe different guys doing different things on certain
Mhm.
plays, how
Mhm.
they marry the run and the pass. but McDaniels seems to have taken leaps in certain spots where the other guys haven't. I feel
He
like the diverging paths of the McVay and the Shanahan and the LaFleur, they kind of go east, west, maybe south. And you'd expect then Mike McDaniel to maybe go north. Now that fool just goes to the Bermuda Triangle and starts kind of his own thing right now,
right,
like sort
right.
of like that. So that's the cool part of it. To talk about the passing game right now, Tua, as far as getting rid of the ball right now, he leads the league in average time to throw, 2.24
He's
per
getting the
second.
ball
That's
out, bro.
by far the quickest, right? 2.24. And which he's also on top of that, one of the highest leaders in terms of average depth of target. So if you were to consider those two things in concert, I'm getting rid of the balls quicker than anybody,
Hmm.
and I'm throwing it downfield more often than anybody.
Right.
That tells you that this scheme right here, with the speed of these guys he's throwing it to, are on some type of scorched earth level so
Oh
far.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
only 3
yeah.
games. It's a
Right,
small sample size.
right, right,
But like these things generally don't align. It's generally not the case where you're doing both
right,
simultaneously.
right, right.
I mean, if you think about it, that's just generally, okay, I'm gonna get rid of the ball quick. These dudes can't get downfield necessarily as consistently all the time, but they are. And that's just something really, really dope to see. And the other thing I've seen with Tua as far as his like maturation, the next step in his quarterback evolution, he is anticipating throws within this offense so well.
Hmm.
He's seeing things before they come open. When you watch the tape on him, there was the first Tyreek Hill touchdown where he was more than high school open, where on the first post route of the game against Denver,
Hmm.
when it's yeah, he was that open, but when Tua triggered that throw, he wasn't that open. When
Right.
he like, okay, I'm going here, right? He wasn't that
He's
open.
still
Once the
running his
ball
route. Right, right,
yeah,
right,
he's
right.
still running his route. There's still a little bit of traffic, but where that ball landed and when Hill got there, that he was
The
that open.
timing.
So
Right,
yeah,
right.
the Tua is just dealing so much in his bag. And if teams sell out to stop the pass like they have to, that leaves the running game open as well, because like we were talking about the different things that they're doing in there.
Hmm.
So to swing it to you, bro, who's winning this game? What's your pick? What other parts of it do you want to touch on? How do we arrive at that score?
Bro, I'm gonna go with the Bills on this one. I'm going with the Bills. This is gonna be a great game of the week for us. The reason why I'm going with the Bills because there's one thing that I question just a little bit, and it's Vic Fangio's defense run rushing attack. Like
Okay,
they
wait,
can
wait. Okay, okay. So Vic Fangio's rushing defense.
defense.
Vic
That's what I meant.
Fangio
Yeah,
being
yeah,
the
yeah. Not
defensive
rushing attack.
coordinator. For everybody listening, Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins.
Yes, Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, not the rushing attack, but the rush defense. I'm concerned with that. I'm really concerned with that. I've seen teams like the Chargers, who they just played recently. Obviously, it's only been 3 games, so they can work. I'm talking about the Dolphins. They can get some
Mhm.
things fixed, and because they got the players to do it, but
Right.
they haven't really been able to stop the run like that.
They
And I
haven't.
think, and I really think if you look at what the Chargers was able to do, I have my notes. I didn't even pull it out. But anyway, the Chargers, Eckler and their backup had some good yardage versus
Josh Kelly.
Joshua
Joshua
Kelly,
Kelly.
man.
The
He
UCLA kid.
yeah. They both had some good yardage versus Miami. And I feel like the Bills could do the same thing. And I feel like, this is kind of what this is an old way of really keeping the offense off the field. When you can run the ball and really kind of kill the clock, time of possession. I feel like the Bills can really do that. If the Bills can not necessarily, well, put it this way: if the Bills can, obviously, you want to put up touchdowns, especially against this Miami team. But if they can take the time off the clock, run the ball, Josh not score too quick, that offense don't score too quick, I feel like they got a real chance of really beating this team. And I feel like that's what's going to happen in this game. I brought up the defensive lineman in this team too, on this Bills defense, and I do like them a lot, man. I feel like they're going to be prepared for this. It's going to be a great game, but these are the reasons why I got the Bills. I'm concerned with the Dolphins run game. So give me the Bills 30-27.
Bills 30-27. Okay. I want to spend a little. I realize I've been sitting over here gaga over Mike Daniel and Mike McDaniel. I even talked about the Bills yet.
It
uh,
happens.
it happens. It happens. But the Bills defense. A couple things that I wanted to get off about them. Uh, third in pressure rate, second in total sacks, third in QB hit rate. Right. They do this mostly by getting pressure with four because they have the fourth lowest blitz rate in the league.
Yeah.
Right. Seven players on this defense have at least a sack that is tied for the most in the NFL. That speaks to what you were talking about earlier with that defensive line. Terrell Bernard. I feel like we got to talk about this man for
Yeah.
just a little bit. Terrell Bernard is a linebacker for Buffalo, number 43. He's a, what is he, second year kid out of Baylor.
Hmm.
He was the one that they slotted into that spot when they let Tremaine Edmonds, the other linebacker who accompanied Matt Milano for many years in that defense, walk. Tremaine Edmonds is now playing over in Chicago, got a big payday. He
Hmm.
fits their scheme, et cetera, et cetera. But this dude, Terrell Bernard, is balling right now.
He is balling.
Balling.
He's balling.
He was AFC Player of the Week last year.
Hmm.
He had 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, and a fumble recovery. The first person to do that in the NFL since Brian Urlacher was playing. And I think Urlacher did that in like '07 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Bernard had the first pick that Terrell had, he sunk into coverage and like Sam Howell, who we'll talk about here very shortly, threw this pass on a 3rd and 18 that he probably should have thrown, and Bernard sunk deep on a robot technique. Robot technique is when, for everybody listening, a linebacker like just turns his back to the quarterback and drops to a depth where he knows he's supposed to be. And then once he gets to that depth, he turns back around and faces the quarterback. So he did that. And as soon as he turns around, full extension goes up and snatches that ball. Dope
Hmm.
play.
Hmm.
And those 2 sacks came when he rushed the passer only 5 times.
Yeah.
That's really high efficiency type of stuff. And he was making plays in the run game against the Raiders when we played against them. So I mean, this dude has stood out early on right now, and I think that's something that definitely needs to be brought up. I got to go Miami, man.
Well, I had a feeling. I had a feeling you were going to Miami.
I
That's why
mean,
I was
I got to
like,
go. Yeah,
I knew it. I knew
I
it.
got to go Miami. Here's why. Here's why. The Bills, I love how this Bills team, this secondary, plays their match coverages, their man match coverages, their zone coverages. They even run some different variations of the same coverage. Quarters, as I've talked about, can be played a number of different ways. The Bills will play quarters just slightly differently, where they play
Mhm.
one release different than another. But within quarters and within all these zone match principles, at some point, it becomes man coverage. And with how quick Tua is getting it out, when this Bills defense is very well versed in passing off routes, communicating, know what their responsibility and their roles are within the rules of all their different coverages that they're going to play. But at some point, you can't react to a guy that's getting rid of the ball as quickly as Tua is to the number of diversified options that they have. And at some point, also, it becomes man coverage when you're trying to cover Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill or Raheem Mostert or A-Chain. And this Bills defense just, no one I would say has the speed like we talked about, but this Bills defense is more of a smart defense, a tough defense, a scheme defense than they are just an athlete speed defense.
But they're
And that's
smart.
why I got Miami.
They're smart.
They are smart. They are
They are
smart.
smart.
I don't
And
care what your
that
IQ is, bro. If Tyreek running a 9 route and he's matched up on Terrell Bernard, not Terrell Bernard, but the Benford, number 47, the other cornerback, we gonna see 2 fingers. Like that's just it. So I'm gonna go with the Dolphins. Shout out to a couple guys on defense. Kadir Kohu, who's a 2nd-year corner for them out of like some small school in Texas. He's again balling right now. And the Dolphins' run defense hasn't been very good. And so if the Bills continue to keep running the ball like they have been, I could see them keeping it close. I could definitely even see them winning. That's one thing with Fangio, like you brought up, bro. They aren't very good against the run. And a lot of that
they're
comes
not,
from
bro.
because the fact that they run light boxes
They do.
more than anybody else.
Yeah.
More than anybody else. So that's the one area where I could see if the Bills like dedicate it to where they could keep it close, work those underneath areas. I can't fucking wait for this game, bro. But I got
Not
Miami
my.
winning when it's all said and done.
Okay. What was your
Score
final?
wise,
Okay.
score wise, over under for this game. My score is going to be Miami 24, Buffalo 23.
24-23. I like it.
Yep. 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 We will move on now to the Washington Commanders traveling to Philly.